nom c'est Izza Flambe ou Izza Flambe. I'm a circus performer. I was originally living in Montreal, but since the last 5 or 6 years, I live in a small village in a corner of Quebec called Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean. Did anybody hear about Saguenay-Lac-Saint-Jean before? You know about it? Oh, on s'est parlé l'autre fois. Okay, you know everything about my life. I live in a small village next to a fjord now. It's in Saguenay, so it's 2 hours and a half northern of Quebec City. The winters are very long, the summer are very short. And hi, hello, how are you? So I was thinking today I will tell you about a little bit about my life because joining the circus is a little bit of an atypical life. So on my side, I used to study sciences. So when I was 20 years old, I had started a degree in biology. And in the meantime, oh my God, in the meantime, I discovered circus. So there was the Cirque du Soleil. You guys have heard about Cirque du Soleil? Yeah, Cirque du Soleil had like a social part of their businesses. They took 1% of their revenue and they invested it in street kids or like so anybody who was like a little bit punky or had something to do with the streets or was very marginal. I don't know if it's a word in English. Marginal. Yeah, could go to these free circus classes. There was a really good trainers. There was a good circus places, and it was free. And this thing happens all over the world. So they do this in Atikamek or like a native community in northern Quebec, but they also do this in Brazil, in Holland, in Africa. So it's like the social part of Cirque du Soleil. They really thought that circus was a good way to give self-confidence to kids because you often have success. You quickly have little success with juggling. So anyway, so there was this great program of a free circus training, 6 hours a week, and my best friend tried to pull me there. You have to come. And I wanted to be a good student. I wanted to have good grades in biology. So first I didn't want to go to the circus, but then she was pulling. And in the end I said, okay, I'm gonna go. And we started doing these circus classes, and eventually one guy came and said, I want to form a circus group. I'm going to ask for a grant, and we're going to have money for costume, for props, and we can have a private teacher and form ourselves a group. And as you might imagine, if you start 7 people, you often finish 2 or 3 because one falls in love, the other one goes in Africa, the other one stops doing circus, the other one has a back problem. So in the end, we ended up being 3 girls who were interested in the same things. We started playing with fire. Are you also a fire performer? Yeah, that's what I thought. Something. You do the hammocks? I heard about you. So I discovered fire spinning. Did you guys ever see fire spinning? I know you did. You did, because you did the show with me. Anybody else? Have you seen fire spinning before? No. Then you have to come to the circus festival. Promo plug là. Yeah, we're gonna promote because we're here for a festival. There's a circus festival next weekend in Dieppe, and we would like to invite you. I think Thursday night is a big cabaret, and we're gonna do circus with a bunch of people from Dieppe and Moncton. And then Friday and Saturday, my name on this flyer is Izza Flambe. So if you want to see a fire show, come to us. So I had discovered fire spinning with a traveler. It was a girl who was traveling by train throughout the United States with a lot of tattoos. And she said, I'm gonna show you something, and she showed me how to do these fire poise. You guys know what fire poise is? You know, obviously, but it's chains with a ball of fire in the end, and you spin this like this. Did you ever see this? No? And I felt in love with this technique. I was like, wow, I've never seen this before. This is what I want to do. This is what we're gonna do. But my best friend, she was absolutely at the beginning not interested in fire spinning. She was like, no, I don't want to do this. This is boring. Everybody's doing this in Europe. I come back from Europe. I don't want to do this. But me, I had fallen in love with this fire thing. And she was more in love with acrobatics. So basically, we ended up mixing dance, acrobatic, and fire spinning. And somehow, I don't know, I think there was a good start for us because the first 2 months of having a choreography together and starting to have a little company, we made the audition for Montreal Jazz Festival, which is Montreal's biggest festival. And somehow they took us to perform in the street because they have also a big part of street performance. And we also got a connection somehow with the director of the special events of Cirque du Soleil. And this guy took us to like 3 major events of Cirque du Soleil. He sent us to Hong Kong, and we made a party at Guy Laliberté's house. Guy Laliberté was the founder of Cirque du Soleil, and he was famous for putting big private party that looked like festival in his own yard. And we were rookies. We only did circus for a year, and we only had a choreography together for 2 or 3 months, and we were there in the director of the Cirque du Soleil's yard, and we thought, wow. Okay, so this was the first year. So the first summer was we had a lot of luck. Basically, we did the Mo's Quebec major festival, and we worked 3 times for Cirque du Soleil. And then I went back to school in biology, and I had to ask myself, what do I do next? You know, do I do a major in biology because I was also interested in studying more biology, or do I go with the circus? And for 1 year, the two battle inside of my heart. And I thought, okay, circus is an unsecured life. What am I going to do with this? But in the other hand, biology seems really good, but there's not that much work in biology either. So there was a inner battle for a year. What should I do in my life? And my best friend, she was like, forget about your master. As soon as you're done with your school, we're going on tour in Europe. And I kind of followed my heart. I kind of ended up thinking that you can actually start again biology when you're 40 or 50, but it might be harder to start doing circus with 40 and 50. Although that the people from Circus Stella, like one of the guys in Circus Stella and other performers, they told me, we started doing circus with 40, so don't worry about it. But for me at that time, I thought I was already late with 20 years old. So in the end, that's what I did. I finished my degree in biology, and we left on tour in Europe two falls in a row. And at some point, we made the choice to really commit to the circus life. And we came back from tour, and we really sit ourselves together and took care of the promo aspect. One girl bought a cell phone. One girl got a car because we didn't have cars at that time. Then we got an internet address because all this in 2000 was pretty new, you know, like we were a little bit against cars, against cell phone, against internet, but we had no choice at some point. It's like, you want to do the circus life, then there's many other things than circus that you have to do. You have to, you know, get your things together to have photos, videos, and take care of all the business aspect. And in the end, that's what I did. And now I'm almost 40, and I'm still doing this. That's it. That was my... Thank you. The jacket has nothing to do with me. It's actually a costume, a very famous Quebec costume from my friend Bruno. Because there was a point, in the end, like, okay, if I want to go a little bit further, is when I started to do circus, there was a bunch of similar, like, emerging artists in a similar situation than me. We all were taking the same social classes from Cirque du Soleil, and there was a big motivation in between us to organize a festival. So one guy came up with the idea we should organize a circus festival in the woods, and we kind of all gathered around this idea. So, and we started putting on a festival, which is now, I think, one of the major gathering for circus artists in Quebec. But at that time, it was also a good thing for us because we were emerging artists. So the idea to put together an event and a festival when you're emerging artists gives you a platform to perform your stuff in front of a good audience and on a big stage and in a good conditions. So, like, parallel to the circus life, we start being like events organizer and gathering artists that were also more experimented to come and perform and create this kind of exchange in between artists that had more experience and upcoming artists. And we still do this today. Where I live, because now I live in a smaller place, I am part of projects. There is different schools who put up great circus show where the whole school does circus, and we are 3 or 4 different circus teacher and puppet teacher and theater teacher, and together we work the whole year with kids, and in the end they promote a big show. This is in Saguenay, near to Chicoutimi. This is Quebec. This is not in New Brunswick. Yeah, I live in Quebec, so that's why. So I teach kids. Yeah, I think it's good to teach for the next generation. This is a part of me, but as I work a lot with fire, I also work a lot with people 20 to 25 years old who are interested by fire arts and circus arts, or kind of, in French we say la relève. I don't know how do you say this? Emerging artists, yeah. So because I also came from a program where Cirque du Soleil give confidence to us as emerging artists, I think it's fair for myself to teach to young artists, and I organize different tours. So I take them, build a show with them, and give them like some professional experience and share the love and the sparkle, you know, because it takes a little bit of craziness to decide to do this in your life. But sometimes you need older people than you that say it's possible, you can make a living.